greenhouse design and planning. So in this video, we're going to be talking about how you set up your greenhouse and what you might want in it or what type of greenhouse. So planning your greenhouse design and your greenhouse layout. Please do like, share and subscribe, as it does help the channel grow. And I hope that you'll put some comments in the comments area below. We have a polytunnel, and as such that polytunnel is a bit flappy and I'm not that keen on it. I prefer a more stable structure. So in one sense, what I'm doing in the new greenhouse is to replace that. So once you've decided what you're going to be growing in your greenhouse, you then need to be setting up what other activities you want to do in the greenhouse. This could be making up soil composts or mixed soil mixtures. Perhaps like for succulents, you need a very sandy, gritty compost. So you may be mixing up your own composts. So you'll need an area to store and hold all the composts. The new potting bench is going to be the area where I store all the different types of compost. So I'm planning the top shelf to hold a large plastic drawer which will hold the main body of my composts, which tends to be a bought-in compost. And below that I'm going to store things like perlite, which I use quite a bit, sand, possibly some grit and some pea gravel. But also things that I'm going to add to those soils, such as bone meal, wood ash, things that add more nutrients and don't change the composition of the soil so much as change the nutrient levels. Similarly, you'll have a certain amount of tools, both the general garden tools, but also the tools like dibbers and other smaller tools that you'll use when handling seedlings, tweezers for instance, as well. So all of these things need a place, and you need to plan where that place will be within the greenhouse. And what other activities do you want to do? Obviously, I'm going to be recording stuff in there, and I do want to have that sort of permanent setup ready to use in the greenhouse. So some of the things like the backdrop you see behind me will be moving out into the greenhouse. Not quite sure how I'm going to hang it, but we'll work that one out as we get out there. I've got some ideas. And there's other things that we need to do in the greenhouse, such as storing pots, holding places where you can move things at different heights. So let's say a tall tomato plant may need to be growing on the floor, but you may also need to be in a situation where you can accommodate its height, perhaps by removing some sections of the greenhouse staging. So all these things need to be factored into the design. So what I've come up with as the design that I plan to implement in the new greenhouse is one where on one side I've got a pretty much a standard set of boards right across, but with some that I can perhaps take out, so that, like, if I do want to grow tall tomatoes in there, the tomatoes can go on the floor, grow through that staging because I've removed a bit of the staging, and keep going higher up. On the other side, I plan to have what I call a more multifunctional space. So the first part will be a small table, then there will be the potting bench, and then I'm going to be putting in some staging, a small amount of staging, and a tool holder. Above both benches, when I can find my teeth, above both benches, I will be putting in some shelves on a higher level, and these will be really based for plants that I want to grow in there, on perhaps on a long-term basis, the smaller ones, and also seed trays, so that they'll be that bit higher up in the greenhouse, a bit warmer, more access to light, because they're nearer the roof, and just in a place to grow. But I also want some places that I can store small items, really small items. So I'm going to use some jars, and I'm going to attach the jars to the bottom of one of the shelves, the upper shelves, as a storage mechanism for those tiny bits as well. So we'll see how it all comes together. That's the plan at the moment, and that may change, but that's the plan for how we go forward and what I want to do with the greenhouse. In terms of plants, as I said in one of the earlier videos, that I've got some house plants that I want to move out there, including a large banana plant. That was replanted last year, and it's now producing some seedlings at the bottom, some junior plants at the bottom. So I'm looking forward to that going out there. I've also got a large collection of succulents, and they are one of my key things to actually move out, some of those, not all of them, but some of them, and a few other bits and pieces that actually make it a bit more homely. So we'll see how that gets together, and we'll see what transpires as we go forward. Thank you very much.